Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting for October 5th, 2020. We had an early start at 6:15 with a non-public with the police department on some issues with them. And we will now start with the public meeting. So if everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item would be public comment.
Excuse me.
Oh, I forgot. Before we start with the public comment, I want to have a moment of silence for Paul Moran, who just passed away recently, and he was the head of our planning board back in 2001 to 2009. Thank you. I'd like to make sure we send out our condolences to his family. Now we'll start with public comment.
Frank, you didn't have anything?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Tom, did you have
Tom?
something? Okay. Because John is here, but John, I told him he could be after public comment, so.
Right.
Just briefly, I would just like to remind people, since this is a good forum for it, about the Where in the World newspaper. There's half a dozen people who actively work on it all the time, and then there are contributions from others as well, including from the school department, SAU, just the various clubs and things around the town. And it is on the library website. We're also setting up a Facebook page for it, so it'll be available there eventually as well. But I think that all of us kind of worry that there it is out there, we're producing this, but we can't print it, and so it's going unnoticed. So please, the next issue will be the 14th. And we do cover things like selectmen's meetings, et cetera, and a lot of other stuff. So Where in the World, it's on the library website, and it is published on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of each month, which means the 14th and the 28th of October. So good stuff.
Thanks, Tom.
Why can't you print it?
Because the library is closed. We print it in the library.
Oh, okay.
We'll go back to printing, hopefully.
John, you're up.
So I'm here because of course, I build new homes.
Could you just state your name for
John
the
Hardy.
record? Okay, thank you.
And just recently,
John, can you just, we have a selectman that's sick on his phone, so if you just can speak up just a little bit, that'd be perfect.
we have a house on a lake that the only time ever I took pictures of something because we didn't have an inspection out of probably 50 projects and where we've done over the years, and I get a failure on the footing. I got some pictures to show you guys and see what your thoughts are of what's in there for rebar. Wasn't accepted, the picture wasn't accepted. And now I just heard tonight that, so I get an engineered stamp from a engineered. Kelly contacts him to question it, contacts the homeowner, I guess, just recently. Actually, Rick Geddes I didn't know I was up first. He's gonna stop by, which has been in this business for 35 plus years. Then we just get a new inspection, says they want to look at the rebar before we pour the wall. Which she says, it's on the list, but it's something they never checked. And she says it's something her and Kyle's been doing since she's been in office. So I make a phone call, I won't say who, but just recently, 4 weeks ago, they started to inspect rebar in the wall. Which is, I mean, it's making it kind of hard for anybody to, you know, as you know, this inspection schedule today is not very accommodating. So I get a failure on the wall. And now she's contacting the homeowners. And the engineer, questioning him. And then she won't pass the wall unless she gets it engineered for the wall. I just want to make sure I need a network of, hear all the stories of what goes on and where. I know everybody. And hear what slips through the cracks. And then it seems like I'm getting taken right to the very end on one project that I showed you one time out of probably 40 or 50 projects in Ware. But everybody else is, you know, gets slid right by. I won't name any names, but I could, you know what I mean? We could dig through the files and see who passed, who failed, who. Now I'm getting a fine. I don't know what it is. That's what she told me. You're going to get a fine because you failed.
Do you have the pictures with you?
Yep.
Have you shown the pictures to the building inspector? Or?
She don't even want any of the wall. Don't matter. Don't matter. Got to have it engineered. So hopefully everybody else through the town, when they don't get an inspection, they have an engineer. All these foundations when they show pictures. I just make sure it's straight. You know, coming in last year, I've got a neighbor on Rolling Hills, not to change the subject. Since he say I need a compaction test because don't think I did it right. So, while on vacation, I gotta get one. The wall's already poured. Just because a neighbor doesn't like me building a house on a lot that's gonna block his view. He calls, makes it happen. I gotta spend another $1,000. You get an engineer stamp, another $1,000. And the pictures are clear. I mean, you look at it, it's not where doesn't pay to cheat.
Can you bring the pictures up and show the
Yeah.
board? So.
Doesn't pay to cheat. This is residential. This is not even commercial. This is 1 footage. It's a tall wall, don't get me wrong.
You see it? Show.
It's a tall wall. You know, in your normal footings, got 2 courses of rebar. This is all 1 inch rebar in it. And that's, I mean, I don't know about you guys, I mean, looks like a little overkill for a residential wall, but it's a tall one, it's 17 feet high. I mean, I can show you a wall picture which failed. It has a grid of 1 foot by 1 foot rebar, 17 feet high, with a 2-foot pilaster in the middle. Failed. Picture's no good. What irritates me a little more, I just found out from Rick, he would have came here if I knew more information tonight that she's going after the engineer.
Who is the engineer?
I'd have to look it up. It's on my email, but I guess he's got a letter, which he'll be here. He'll bring the letter. He'll give you guys a letter questioning him, and then call the homeowner. Now you got them all wound up for what? I think it's gone way too far. You know, I hear stories that stuff gets sheetrock without insulation inspection. You know what I mean? On and on and on in town. Just the other day, he's up at Terry's. Like I said, I know everybody. Oh, the insulation on the floor, that's what you're gonna use? I don't need to come back look at this. You know, it's not like, I think I got a fairly good reputation in town.
I think your wife's got the. What's his name? Oh, it's WC. Okay.
Yeah, we can pull through all the stuff. I mean, you probably ain't gonna find nothing we ever failed on in town.
So what's the status of the building now?
Don't know. Can't backfill it. We're framing it without backfilling it because I asked for inspection Wednesday. I must be special now because we're gonna bring out somebody different to come look at the project, because I need to look at, it's tarred, drains, and the dirt's there, it's holding up the whole project. No answer. I can show you the email Wednesday. I try to give a lot of notice. They could have looked at it Friday, but I'll give you 3 days. By Monday, hopefully we can get it inspected. Don't know. No idea. Here we are, we're coming on Tuesday. Do I schedule stuff to do Tuesday?
Well, we've got the building inspector and the land use coordinator here, so we'll hear from them and see what we can find out.
All right.
Why don't we hold up just a minute before we do that, and we'll bring the library and get that done, and then bring them in.
John, do you mind just a second? We had a couple things.
A couple things we'll get down to. Okay, we'll hear from the library. We'll get that.
So Brenda's here.
Yep.
Yep, Brenda is here. She's the chairman of the library.
Okay, we're going to start with the easy stuff first, which would be maintenance. I sent a message over about the grass cutting and snow throwing. We all use the same vendor for grass cutting, Peter Stockhouse.
Right.
I don't know why he just isn't part of the whole town maintenance thing.
Well,
Instead of us
because
paying separately.
when we put it out to bid, we gave him specifics of what we wanted bid on, and it didn't include the library, because at that time, you guys were doing your own contract. So we signed with him until the end of 2021. So I can't add it
I
now
gotcha.
until November of 2021.
Okay.
When we put them all out to bid, at that time, does it make sense to include it? Of course.
Okay.
Because he mows ours, he mows yours, so there's not a division in a line.
Exactly.
Your grass isn't any taller than mine, because he does it when he's there. But at
Ours
the
might be a
time,
bit browner, but
well, okay, they're all brown right now. But I'm just saying, so that's why we can't add to the contract in 2021.
I got you.
So until that comes around, it'll have to stay separate.
Okay, and that's fine.
And that's up in 2022?
No, November of 2021 is it.
Okay.
So a year from.
It's got one more
A
year.
year from
Yep.
next
The
month.
second thing is snow throwing. We normally have been hiring a young person to handle the snow throwing and shoveling. It's going to be next to near impossible to do that this year, so we're hoping that we can have whoever's going to do it for the town do it for us also.
Yeah, and I can, so Dave Huey's always done our snow removal. He's here and he at least gets the building open for us. I've gone out and shoveled too in between if it's really snowy. But I did ask him if he'd be willing to do that, and I included the library, and he said sure. And I said, well, the library doesn't have to be as early as ours, because you guys open at 10.
Correct.
And I said, you also follow the school schedule, so if there's no school, if it gets canceled because of bad weather, then he can slow down a little bit. But he's willing to pick up and shovel.
Okay, that would save us tremendously if
Now,
someone
would
could-
somebody have to, is it just shoveling down to the room and up above?
Thelma?
Yes, down to the Sawyer room.
Yep, the little pathway down and then into the stairs.
Yes,
Yep.
there is a handicap
Yep.
area there too that we shovel.
Okay. He said he would be willing to do that.
Okay. And the third thing, and Thelma and I are going to kind of tag team on this. I'll kind of say the first part, and then I'm sure she'll jump in. About a month ago, I followed the rules. You know, I know that if something is to be done in the library, big like air conditioning, you get 3 estimates, forward them to you guys. Unfortunately, once I forwarded them, I was not able to get on your schedule until today. So I was not able to tell you that the quote that you got is for everything. Our intent was not to have everything done at one time. It was to have the major problems handled. It's kind of a piecemeal approach is what we wanted. For example, the director's office is leaking, and I can even show you, I have photos of what's going on in the director's office. Oh, wait.
When you say leaking, I mean, there's
The
water.
AC unit.
The AC unit's
The
leaking
AC units
water.
are leaking, correct.
Okay.
And, I mean, you guys can, there's one of the photos, but there's the other one where the water is actually just, we've got it going into buckets now because it's leaking.
If-
To wash dishes after.
Yeah.
You have a regular plumber that you contract to do maintenance over there at the building?
Do we have a plumber that does maintenance?
Yeah, the air conditioners have been serviced this year, and they actually came back twice, Bow Plumbing and Heating, to do
Both plumbing and heating does.
the
The libraries.
director's office, because it was dripping, and it's from, that unit is from 1991, so the part is not available. There are 3 units that are from 1991.
Yeah,
So-
probably end of life.
I think we've got our time out of them.
Yeah, I would say so.
And,
So the quotes that you gave us were not meant to be pushed to the CIP? 'cause I know
Exactly.
we were running out of time. so
Exactly.
We did.
yeah, it was, if we had been able to come here earlier, that, we would have explained that. It was not to be a huge project. It was to be sparsed out. And like I said, one of the major areas is the director's office. We finally have gotten a director. It'd be nice if he could come and not have leaky air conditioners in his office, and the one on the main floor. I mean, old air conditioners present respiratory issues, and that's kind of what we're.
Have they been repaired at this point? The leaking stopped, or?
No, they came twice, they came to do manual, the service
Yeah.
in the spring, and then it was leaking, and they came back to fix it, and it stopped for a little bit, but it's now doing it again. And it's the problem because it's from 1991 with parts, and they all still use Freon also.
Well, there's different grades of Freon, but yeah, okay. Well, I would say, I don't know what the bids, I haven't seen the bids that came in, but I would.
Yeah, you
s-
did. You guys.
Yeah, but I mean, for the total amount, what they would do
The
is.
total amount was 25,000.
Yeah,
and
so
we
I
did
mean,
not-
they-
we
to-
did
to
not-
have the
I probably
repairs-
should have presented it differently when I
Have
sent
the
it over.
repairs done for the individual pieces like that,
Right.
and broken out, should be broken out separately, so we know what the costs are.
And I do apologize for that. I sent the whole thing over. I didn't even think about breaking out
Yeah, I didn't
because I
s-
expected to
I
come here
remember
and
it went to the
accomplish it.
CIP, but I didn't see
Right,
anything for
because it was over
individual
$15,000.
short breakdowns. You know, oh, it's only $1,000 to fix this one, or 2,000, or, something along that line, so. And what at each individual unit, and that's, I guess, to give
So
it
do you
a
have a
fair
more
shot.
realistic number you were thinking
Yeah.
about versus the $25,000?
Yes, we do.
I have them broken down, if
Okay.
you would like to look at them.
Okay.
Yeah. How many did you get, 3 again?
There's 3. The first one is the note from Bow Plumbing and Heating, how the parts are not available and the Freon is down. If you can find it, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And then the rest are the estimates.
No.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a cheap thing to fix the air conditioners and to maintain them and keep them running.
This is 1.80, yeah.
Are those heat as well?
No,
All right,
they're
so.
not. They
if
are.
we're
Oh,
not-
they are. Oh,
Oh, the ones we have now?
Yeah.
I do not know about that.
So if we're not using the AC, they shouldn't be leaking? Is that a common sense thing?
That's common sense.
It's still right up there.
but we're coming to you because it's part of infrastructure, and eventually you guys are going to own the building, or you probably own it now.
I think we do own it now, yes. We don't own what's
But
in
they're
it, I
still,
don't think, but
these are still capital investments.
how much?
25,000,
No, no,
31,000.
no.
That 25,000 is
25 is
the
the
entire
total.
total.
Okay. It doesn't have, this doesn't show what it's broken out individually for. Just,
This one.
that one does, but these others don't.
Well, you can always change your capital when it gets here.
Broken out.
Yeah, this one's not.
We went forward with CIP because of the requirements, if you
I
remember
didn't
that
see it
section.
in that one.
Right.
So you can always pull it back afterwards.
Yeah, 59.
But if we're gonna make the rules, we ought to follow them, that's why we
Yep.
went that way.
This is look like. That one's got it broken out by each individual, right on the front page, Ricky.
Yep.
Yeah, this is four heat pumps and 4 air handlers all in one
Yeah, it isn't broken out,
at all.
so that's still,
Yeah.
that one they didn't break down at all.
It goes there.
I thought you saw that one.
So how many of these do you want to get done this year?
It'd be nice if we get 2 of them done this year.
Well, I think the problem pulls back to the fact that we like to keep a certain amount of money in that capital reserve fund. And now that we're at the end of the cooling season, I'll call it, not to say I want to push it off to next summer, but the funds is already below that security you like to see. I don't know if there is the ability to, I don't know, the board has not discussed as far as what or any plans we have with that government building maintenance fund this year, whether we want to put X amount into it, what projects we want to try and take out of it. But as of today, I believe it's below where we like to keep it. And unfortunately, it sounds like the solution has, the Band-Aid has been applied, and the switch is off on them. So, again, I don't know if these bids are gonna hold for next year. I highly doubt
I
it.
doubt it, yeah.
I highly doubt it. And I think that's, so, I mean, my own personal opinion is, I think I'd like to see them blanketed, all of them, like the quotes show. Personally, but again, I'm only one member. Just because it sounds like they're all in the same situation. They're all in the,
Same age
they're,
group.
they're all in the same age bracket, and they're all gonna fail. So if we do 2 this year, in 2021, what's not to say that by the end of the 2021 cooling season, the other 2 are gonna be jumped?
That's
Or,
right.
or mid-season.
Yeah, we were just hoping to avoid doing the CIP.
Understandable.
I mean, the ones that seem to be
The worst.
broken out of from LeBlanc and Bow Plumbing and Heating. They're pretty close. You know, they have them broken out by different levels. I mean, you're still talking, capital.
So you guys would like us to go to CIP?
Well,
I already did that for you.
they've already been.
I went to
they've already gone
CIP for you
CIP.
with a big total number,
The big
Okay.
call.
for the worst case. So what'll happen is now we're just gonna pull back that dollar amount. Right now, it's at 29,000, I think. But it still has gotta make its way to the board, who has to approve it, who can change the number. But when we tell all the department heads that if you're looking for something to go on the ballot that's more than $15,000 for a capital item, then we expect us to follow the rules
Oh,
as
no,
well.
exactly, and
So that's
that's
why
why
I
I was
went,
trying to avoid
yeah.
that, because I
mean,
knew the amount,
You
yeah.
have some of them that, you're talking $7,000-8,000 to.
I say even 2 of them are gonna be floating that 15,000 number
Yeah.
pretty close.
Yeah, so, I mean, some of them incorporate 2 units. LeBlanc is one of them. It says, the director's office in the front basement area for one, and they're talking $8,900. The main front room was $59, roughly. And then the basement and front part of the basement and the checkout desk at $76. So, I mean, 2 of those, if
Oh,
you
2 of
get
those are right at the limit, yeah,
For
exactly.
CIP number.
a CIP number, so I mean, and
That's
the
kinda
same
where I'm
thing
at.
with Bow Plumbing and Heating. I mean, if they can get it shut down for the winter months, and hopefully you can get by with it, then, I mean, it's within your budget to do that, then.
Again, I'd still want to see it stay on the CIP, just because
Yeah,
2 of them are.
but I'm
tickling
saying
that
for the
number.
overall repairs, you had to go to the
Right.
CIP, because, I mean, you're gonna do 2 units, you're gonna be up over the CIP limit.
So what happened is, we've gone to CIP, CIP has recommended the $29,000. So the next hurdle is, it goes to the planning board, the planning board will move it on to us.
Yep.
And then we're gonna see you again for the budget for your library, before we finalize the warrant. So I think we can have that discussion a little further and deeper at the time that you come for the budget. We can talk about budget and CIP together and kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Okay,
But if you've got it in your budget, I would probably get, seeing as they're your vendor, Bow Plumbing and Heating, to come in and,
actually, we don't have the cost of this in our budget.
even if it says he's got a price of like $400,
That was a service fee, I think you guys already
Service
paid,
fee?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they already probably.
They've
They already paid that? Okay. I mean, just to shut them down so they're not leaking, and to prevent the leaking.
That could just be
Okay.
a breaker and a piece of tape.
Yeah. That's, I mean, some way to shut them down and prevent them from,
Shut it down, pray for cold weather.
yeah.
Can we do that? Do you know, I mean, do we need someone to help us shut them down?
No, I mean, if they're not used, it
Oh, okay.
should be okay.
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 Turn the thermostat.
So I think we can whittle down that CIP number when you're here for your budget and have a further discussion with it.
Okay.
Because we've already been through and we went to CIP who embraced the project. So now we'll move it down to the planning board, then move it to us.
I got you. Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, we want to go back to the,
What's up to you? You still at Chief Moore and
oh, what?
then
You're
you've
going
got
to be
the
short
building
and
inspector.
sweet, chief? Okay. Well,
Ain't always?
Not really.
What?
As
My feelings are hurt.
As they
if I had
say,
any.
as they say in the trade, I'll take the fifth.
All right, so this is, I'm just giving you a hard copy of a proposed ordinance for the animal control ordinance, just updating the current town ordinance. This is not a new ordinance. I'll have our ACO send you a compare and contrast list so you don't have to read the whole thing if you don't want. I got copies if anybody wants them, but it's not in effect yet. Just so you can see what the difference is between the old one and the new one, but it gets us in line with what the state does. Just to show you that. But I was just giving that to you. Number 2. So I had car 8 assessed because it was due for inspection, which it failed.
Car 8 being your
The
car?
blue car.
Yes, car 8 being little blue.
Okay.
If anybody wants copies, I got this too. So we took it to Mark Phillips to get it assessed. That's where it was getting inspected anyway. So immediate need for the failed inspection: the rear bumper has to get reinforced, $440. Body rust, $1,200 minimum to $2,000 maximum. So immediate repair cost, anywhere from $1,640 to $2,440. 2 safety things. I mentioned to you before, the gas tank's leaking. The previous time I was doing this, it was a seal broken. That was about $1,000 fixed through DPW. And the front brakes, while they didn't fail inspection, Mark Phillips said they need to be replaced pretty rapidly. That's $300. Springtime needs, it has winter tires on it. I've ran winter tires all year just because we didn't see the need to dump money into it if we didn't need to. And then watch list, and this is the big one. So the transmission is jumping. It's a 2008 car. It could go anytime. Mark said that you can't get used transmissions, which means you got to get a new transmission. He doesn't even know if he'd be able to find one if it did go down because it's 2008. They don't make them anymore. That's going to be about $4,130 if that goes. So the total cost, if we had to do everything, $7,470 to $8,270. So if that was my vehicle, would I fix that? No. I'd be sending it to auction. So here's what I'm proposing. Because you know I always got a plan. 6 rolls down to me. But we're not going to get another police car. What we're going to get is an animal control vehicle. A used one. We found a pretty decent one that's used. It's a 2011 Ford Transit, which is one of the work vans.
Is that the small one or the full size?
Smaller one.
Oh, there's a picture, okay.
Yep, I got plenty of pictures in there. 57,000, 50 miles on it. It was originally listed for $10,000. We took that vehicle to Mark Phillips, and it needs some work. It needs tires, brakes, a valve gasket, a serpentine belt, a real tail light, and an optional antenna. But right around $1,000 worth of repair work, so we got $1,000 off of it pretty much. So she's coming in at $8,950, which is book value on this car. I've got the whole packet together for you to look at, as well as pictures. What's not counted in the valuation is it comes with professionally mounted racks, so she can store on her gear, all her gear, and a roof rack. We put eyes on it. We looked at it. Mark Phillips kicked the tires for it, said this is a good purchase, without a doubt. It would solve our ACO needs, where, of course, we're paying mileage on them currently for her to use her own vehicle. But it would solve our needs. We came up with a graphics package for it because, of course, we'd want to mark our vehicle for Frank back there. I know he loves that. So came up with the graphics package. That's going to be about $400 to $500, or I'm sorry, $450 to $595, and then we don't have a radio to put in that, so we have to get a radio also if we want to put a radio in there, which obviously we would. So that's the proposal.
On your CIP plan, I believe the ACO wasn't gonna get a car until, well, your car,
A
the
few
blue
years down the
car,
road. That's
the blue
mine.
car.
Yeah, mine would have to last until at least 2023.
Three.
It's obviously not going to do that.
Yep.
So she's about 3 to 4 years out from us even having something to rotate down to her, with us getting a car every year. So my proposal, obviously, I wouldn't want to. If it was my car, I wouldn't dump $7,000 to $8,000 potentially into my car. It's got 100, almost 175,000 miles on it. This is a much better option, which will keep us in the game.
So you don't have the no means no, because this wasn't on the table for a purchase at the warrant. So you don't have the no means no, which is what Chris and I talked about.
They want one?
It does, right now you're paying her mileage. You're gonna continue to pay her mileage.
What have we been paying her? How much have we got into it?
Whatever
this
the
year?
IRS mileage is, I think it's 55 cents right now a mile.
58.
58, 55, it roams around there, whatever IRS demands it to be.
58 cents a mile.
And I was going to bring what we spent on her gas mileage. I don't have that. Beth has that. I'm sure we're $500 or $600 on the year so far, just in gas.
And your budget can pick this up
Yes.
and still,
Yep. Nope. We're good.
What they got for floor in the back?
What do you mean? Is it a rubber floor or something?
Yeah.
Like a
No,
rubber
it's
floor.
just
Looks like
it's not
metal.
rubber. I don't think it was metal.
Looks like a rubber floor mat.
Looks like,
Yeah.
looks like rubber.
Yeah.
I took some other pictures on my phone. Let me look
Which would be better if you're gonna,
Or some type of
Yeah,
plastic liner.
Really?
I think,
Yeah, the separate. Yeah, I guess it does. No, I don't recall right off the top of my head. I do see where you're looking at. It's black. So that divider between the front and the back, that was an add-on. Both of the shelves are add-ons, and then it's got a ladder rack up top, which of course we could use to put our catch poles on.
yeah. Is it like Linex or anything?
That-
What's the black floor?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall off the top of my head. I would imagine Linex, but I couldn't say for sure because
because it doesn't look like metal. It looks like
No, it
Doesn't
doesn't.
look like the original floor.
No.
Maybe they just sprayed it or something.
Or some type of liner.
Yeah.
we did look at other vans similar to this. They're usually $2,000 to $3,000 more from what we were seeing with more miles on them.
No rust on this, right?
So I saw 2 minor spots of rust, one around the tailpipe, but it not like it was just rust spots, and then another one on the passenger side rail down bottom. Mark's mechanics looked at them both and said, if we undercoat this, which we would, we'd be undercoating it. It shouldn't be an issue.
Because the only reason I asked you is it looked like there was some rust here.
So that's how we would decorate it, pretty much. No, there was no rust up there though.
Huh?
Rust is on the other side. I can get you a color photo so maybe you can see a little bit better. I got one. Oh, yep, got one.
You said you've got it in your budget to cover it?
Yes.
They cover the purchase of the vehicle and the repairs and the radio and the graphics.
Yeah. So I'm sitting, last time I talked to Beth, at about an $84,000 surplus currently. Say that again?
Why isn't
He
the
wants to know why
radio?
the radio won't
He's
be
gonna
able to
take
be
car six.
transferred from car 8.
So that radio in car 8 is really old. I won't make any jokes, but so that one that's in car 8 is obsolete, where it was replaced by a model. The model that replaced it is obsolete, and they're on the 3rd model. So that's 3 generations past obsolete.
But is it serviceable enough to use for the ACO?
Possibly, but if anything breaks, we just threw away $450. And then another $450, that's to take that one out and put the new one in, so $900. That little bit more. And I found a better colored picture of the floor.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I already saw it.
What's the cost of the new radio to be installed? This is
What?
supposed to be
New radios are $4,600,
Okay, thank you.
and that's by a state contract.
Yeah, some type of liner by the looks of it.
And that about that same size rust spot right around the tailpipe.
Sherry, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think at some point she's gotta have a vehicle.
Definitely not gonna put $8,000 in a 12-year-old car, that's for sure.
No. Well, the other thing is it's for the ACO. I mean, we shouldn't have her going around picking up dogs in her own vehicle anyway,
Right.
for liability, if nothing else. You get a dog that's got some issue with rabies, dementia, or
Yeah, how you gonna,
distemper, rather. I mean, he gets in there and
they get dementia too.
dementia too. You know,
That's why they're lost.
I don't want to have that start transferred into a personal POV and then have it trying to get, have a family or anybody else get in it afterwards. So, at least something like this, you,
Quick question.
you can hose it out.
Yeah, he's got a question.
John's got a
Yep,
question.
go ahead, John.
Past practice has there been a precedent set where we bought a vehicle outside of a town vote?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That was it was an ACO truck
yeah,
that was on a no means no years ago.
yeah.
I'm not comfortable with making this purchase without going to the town voters, but I agree that one is needed.
And this is under 15, just to let you know.
Under 15,000.
Understood.
And it's within his budget.
So where did we come up with this vehicle? To actually,
Just online. Saw it advertised.
is it a dealer or is it private sale?
Private sale. She owns a cleaning company. They sold the cleaning company, so she no longer needs the vehicle, so she advertised the vehicle being for sale.
DPW's also bought a vehicle. If you remember the old Oshkosh we picked up,
Yep.
that was bought outside
Mac.
of. No,
That was a trade.
it was
Mac-
bought. The
well,
Mac was a trade
Mac
for the
was a trade,
Oshkosh,
yeah.
but we have purchased. I
Oh,
think
that-
that was $4,000.
Yep, yeah, military purchase.
As long as it's not been asked for, which a cruiser was asked for this year, he couldn't buy a cruiser, even if he found one. But again, it's not increasing the fleet.
Nope. I'm still currently down 2 cars without the AC, 3 with the ACO vehicle. Well, I'll be down, since 8 won't pass inspection, technically I'm down 3 cars.
So would 8 come out of service?
I would recommend it, yeah. We
Okay.
don't, Mark Phillips says he wouldn't touch it, he wouldn't put any money into it.
Okay.
Strip it, we can still get it to auction if it's approved.
Another question.
Yep,
So what is the total estimated cost of not only stripping car 8 of all its equipment, but stripping car 6, turning it into his take-home vehicle, and the purchase of this proposed vehicle with upfitting of that?
So I haven't done an estimate on 6 yet. It'd be minimal.
What would the plan be with 6?
It'd be my take-home.
Yeah, but what would the plan be as far as, would there be any decommissioning of it? Removing the light bar, putting?
Yes, so light bar's coming off, internal lights, the front bumper's coming off, because obviously the point of having it unmarked is so it's not recognizable.
Okay.
People do target officers at their house, so I wouldn't want to draw attention to having a police vehicle in my driveway. I believe that's all.
Would the graphics stay on it?
No,
No.
What about the cage and all the other accessories in the back?
no, that's all staying in. The computer's staying in too in case anybody needs to use it, but as soon as we got another fleet vehicle, that computer would be moved to the new one.
And with the removal of the exterior light bar, I'm assuming you'd be putting in some kind of interior light bar?
Correct. Not necessarily a bar, just an individual light more than likely.
Did you get a,
And we might have something like that already in the shed. We haven't looked. This came up kind of sudden when 8 failed inspection.
So I completely understand the issue with car 8. I completely get it. I'm just looking for a global picture of what exactly is this going to cost before I make a loan either way.
we're totaling it right now.
Yeah.
So, with the $89.50, the $1,200 for the assessed work at Mark Phillips, including the
Actually, that
optional.
would be a DPW.
At DPW, pardon me. Motorola, 4,600, and the graphics on the high end of 595, it's 15,345.
Did you get that, John?
Yeah, and that includes, bumper,
Yes.
the car 6 to be an interior light package.
No, so I don't have an update cost. I couldn't imagine it being more than $1,000. The bumper we'll take off ourselves. They'll just have to move the siren, add grill lights, and I believe just a front and back light, but that can be a single light.
And I believe all those lights we probably took off of the lieutenant's car, if I remember correctly.
Correct. Yeah, we got to look in the shed to see what we've got. It's got 125,000 miles on it. We're not going to dump a lot into it, that's for sure.
All right, that answers my question. Thank you.
John?
I'd say it would be a win-win. You know, like I said, I'm not gonna put money into his old car, which means he needs a vehicle. The ACO needs a vehicle.
Rick?
I mean, I don't, again, I completely agree with John and John. I guess my concern is it's 15,000, no matter how you shake it, with the upfit of 6. Upfit, downfit, whatever you want to call it, of 6, which is CIP territory. And it's still a 10-year-old vehicle that we're buying.
Sherry?
I mean, have you looked at anything else? Does she need a van? Could she get
that-
by with a,
That fits our needs pretty well with the equipment she's got to carry. We can fit a kennel in there, and she carries a whole lot of small knickknacks that those shelves are a home run.
Yeah, no, I think the vehicle, equipment and size and everything is perfect for the needs of the department.
I mean, really, you're talking, I mean, without the radio could be used in another vehicle if this van goes to hell in 4 or 5 years.
Well, I mean, the radio that's out of car 8, for that matter, even though it's somewhat obsolete, it's not a frontline radio, so I think it could be put in there and
I would,
be used for the time being
I
instead
think,
of
take
going.
that, don't put the new radio in it, use the,
Yeah, it's just gonna cost, labor's $450.
yeah, I think that'd
So
be a smart
there's
thing to do.
$4,000 right
Drop
there
that
that's
price down.
4,500.
4,500, so.
That's what I think.
I think, it's not a frontline vehicle. I know wasn't brought up, so it's not under the no means no. Most towns across the state that have ACOs are using either something similar or bigger vans, full-size vans, and, or pickups. And I think this is probably a lot more ideal.
Yeah. Well, and
I understand the feelings, but I think at this point, I'm not really in favor of having our animal control officer run around, like I said, picking up dogs or cats, and if they have some type of disease in their own vehicle and then transmitting it to their family. No, I don't want that liability. I don't care how much we're paying mileage. That's their car.
yeah, I think.
If we're paying somebody to do the job, then we should be giving them the tools to do it, You don't send somebody out to build a house without the right tools. So I think, I don't want to spend any more than we have to, but I look at it this way, that I think that for what we're going to spend and what the return's going to be on it, we'll probably have it a long, long time. It's not going to be putting on a lot of mileage.
Well, I think if you put the old radio in it and you bring it
Yeah.
down, the price is 11,000.
We got the
roughly.
orange roof light still down there, so they can put that on, so that's not a big
No, that's
deal.
fine. It's just,
Yeah.
if anything, the R&R told us if anything breaks on it, it's done.
The radio.
They couldn't even
Yeah,
get a
well,
replacement part.
then at that point,
Yeah.
we'll figure something else out,
No, that's fine.
There's always a portable or something for that matter, or you
Yeah,
get a cell
she's got
phone.
portable.
Yeah, I was gonna say, she's got a
She's got a
cell
portable
phone.
and you got a cell phone, so I mean, that may be all she needs to. So there's $4,500 at least saved right there.
46.
Oh, 46, okay. I'm in favor of it, I don't,
Yeah, you
Yeah,
take,
I am
the new
too.
radio out.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
it's in your
So
budget.
someone needs to make a motion.
Make a motion. Make a motion to allow the chief to buy the proposed ACO vehicle, a 2011 Ford Transit XLT van with 57,500 miles on it for, what's the total price here? 89,50. Yep, 8,950.
well, he's gonna have to pay for the work being done.
Well,
on it,
this is
too.
just for the van, the rest of it's outside of that.
Second.
Second, all those,
Question?
yep.
Chief, when you looked up, this van, did you find any other ones that were comparable price?
Yes, not comparable, they were more. So we found one, I want to say, sorry, my pleasure, found one that had significantly more miles on it and was $3,000 higher. Same year, if I'm not mistaken. He told me he found that one, so. And that one was in Vermont, this one's in Concord.
John, you got something?
Yeah, and this may have been asked and answered already. Have we had a professional inspection on this vehicle?
Yes.
Not just somebody going by and looking at it.
Yes, Mark Phillips looked at it
Okay.
and gave a quote.
Yeah, did a workup. Also, just for the public, it's a front-wheel drive. It's rated at 26 miles highway, 21 in the city. And, let's see, it's as a Kelly Blue Book, according to it, of 8938, so,
Without the professionally installed.
without all the,
accessories.
without all the equipment, just a bare bones vehicle. So we're getting all the racks and accessories and cage with it. So we had a motion and
In a second.
seconded, so,
Yeah, John seconded.
yeah, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ricky?
I'm gonna abstain.
John?
John?
No.
Okay,
Okay,
chief?
thanks for being quick.
Thank you. I could have said just say yes, but.
I know.
Okay, now we'll go
Now
back
we'll
to
go
the
back
building
to-
department.
Rick may want to add a few things if we can have him.
Okay, if you want to step up, Mr. Geddes, I recognize you from before, the work you've done.
Rick Geddes, I own Geddes Building Movers. So we're doing a project over at 21 Craig Road, and I guess John iterated some of the issues that we seem to be having. I also, on my own, when John said there were some issues with the foundation not being inspected, I called several other contractors in town and said, what's the process here in town? My wife's built many houses here in town over the last 3-4 years with John Hardy, and John said, we never got, a foundation inspection, and pictures were usually fine if there was any questions, so we did the pictures and everything. And every guy that I talked to said, absolutely not, pictures have always been fine, and I talked to 3 guys, and all 3 said to me, I've never done a wall inspection before. So we were under the assumption that we were doing business as had always been done, and we did also send something to the building inspector several days in advance saying if there were any questions on the plan that we had to do the project out there with my phone number on it. So the only thing that kind of got me today was I got a phone call this afternoon at about 4 o'clock from the engineer. We supplied a stamped engineer's statement saying that he reviewed the plan that I had given him, and we sent him pictures of the steel in the footings and everything. So we did get a stamped letter from the engineer saying that he did look at it. So she called him direct today and asked him, did you personally go out and do an inspection? And he said, I think he was going to reply, or maybe she emailed him. I'm not sure which it was. But he got a thing from her today, and he then called me, and I said, just reply that you got a plan from us, that you saw the pictures, and that from the plan and the pictures that you would stamp the foundation as it was. And then this evening, as I was about to leave work, I get a phone call from the customer saying that she had contacted the customer saying that she wanted to talk to the customer about issues. Now, she said the reason being that my phone number was on the building permit. She's never contacted me. She never asked me any questions. But to me, it's a pretty low blow when you contact a customer. This customer is out of New York, and all she needs to do is start sowing seeds, saying we're not doing something properly. And, I mean, I've done, I don't know how many of you know me, I've done thousands and thousands of these jobs. I've been at it for 40 years. I have a clean reputation. I don't cut any corners. When she said you needed an engineer, I was on with the engineer in 20 minutes. We had something to her the next morning from an engineer. I did exactly as was asked. And then I was under the assumption that nobody else, and I checked with people, and they all told me the exact same thing. Never do we get a wall inspection here and where. And what's that? Prior to pouring it. They look at the footings, and then you do the wall. And it's difficult, and I understand that we're in tough times, that the inspector only does them very early morning or late in the day after work. And it's extremely hard. You can't ask a concrete guy to show up, work for 2 hours, and leave for 2 days and not come back. I mean, they do a job, and then they do the next job, and then they do the next job. They don't run 5 jobs at a time. They just can't afford to do that sort of thing. So if you can't do them in a timely manner, and what has been always accepted, and I work in every town in the state, 99% of the towns will say to you, if we can't get to you, take pictures, we'll look at them and make sure that we put them in a folder. That's standard practice everywhere there is. And nowadays, if a building inspector really has an issue with you, and it's not only here in New Hampshire, my brother's a contractor in Oregon, and what they'll say to you is, if I can't be there, or if I'm not comfortable in being there with you doing an inspection, you simply bring your camera now, you do a quick Zoom, or you do a FaceTime, and you can walk around a foundation and say, here's the rebar. We're not talking, a skyscraper that we're building or anything here. And I just don't understand, to me, going to the engineer today without having ever called me once, and then going to the customer is really a low blow. I mean, they're taking and spending well over $100,000 fixing up this camp, which is only going to benefit the town tax-wise, because that's where it's going to come back to. But John has been in this town for a long, long time, working, and if she would have called me, I'd be more than happy to talk with her. Anytime I've had a request, we've done it. I just don't know what the next step is, but I'm a real unhappy camper, her going directly to the customer now and saying, and I don't know what she's going to tell the customer. She sent them an email today saying she needs to discuss issues with the permit. So I don't know what those issues are. I haven't heard that part yet.
Well, you'll hear from her in a minute.
So that's the issue.
There was also a request for Kyle to call Rick, and I don't know if Kyle ever did call, but that was through email.
I've never gotten a
We'll
call.
hear from them in a minute. So.
Yeah, so I haven't gotten any call. It's just, it's frustrating to do a project and to not have some communication on that part. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Kelly, Kyle, or Bob, whoever wants to speak to some of this.
I can speak. I've been doing steel inspections on foundations since I started here about, I guess I've been.
Can you take your mask off,
Yeah,
Kyle,
sure.
and just state your name so we know who it is?
Kyle Parker, is part-time building inspector here in Ware.
Thank you.
Since I started, I've been doing steel inspections on foundations inside the wall. I can attest to what was done prior to starting here, and we are reluctant to have been reluctant to accept pictures since I've started also, just because they could be anywhere.
Okay, I guess the question is, have you been in contact with Mr. Geddes at all during this process where his name's
I
on the
have not
permit?
received a request.
Because he states his name was actually the one and phone number was the one on the permit, so.
Well, that may be, I didn't get a request from,
Okay.
they don't come first directly to me, they come to the office, and
Right.
I didn't get a request to give them a call
Okay.
or speak with them.
And what's your opinion as far as that project goes?
I went out to do the footing inspection, it wasn't ready. I let Kelly know. And then I believe she and the chief had went out a couple hours later. It was requested for that day, and it still wasn't ready. Then it was poured. And then the foundation inspection would have been the same thing. I would look to see if the steel is inside the forms, and apparently when that was requested, the answer was, oh, it's already been poured. So I couldn't see.
When you were there for your inspection, was there any steel in the footing?
No, there was forms there, but there was no one on site,
No.
and there was steel.
Was there rebar in the footing forms? No. Okay. Okay. And,
I can answer the point about.
yeah, I'll have Kelly, I guess, answer the rest of it.
Okay.
I can answer the point about the engineered form, because we had a question, the first sentence actually said that the review of the footing design, so we were looking for the actual on-site, so somebody to see the actual rebar in the footing, not just the design. So when I did contact him, he emailed back that he was requested.
And
by-
who was this, the engineer?
Yeah,
And-
SWC Engineering.
Yep, okay.
He was requested to review the footing design by others and pictures showing the footing reinforcement. No site inspection was requested.
Okay.
So we
Did-
still
when you-
don't know if the rebar was actually.
When you went to the site later that day, was there any
The chief
rebar?
and I went out.
Was there
Kyle
any-
went out at 10:30
Yeah.
because he had a break from work.
Right. Was there any rebar in the footing when you went
No,
up?
forms were up, rebar was laying on the site, but not in the footings. I went up with the chief at noon, I think it was.
Okay.
Yep.
And
And as far as the, oops, sorry, go ahead.
and any time have you contacted Mr. Geddes where his name appeared on the permit, or as he stated, he hadn't
Not at
heard
that
from
point
anybody?
because I wasn't here Friday.
Right.
And I wanted to speak with Naomi about a legal opinion, and I received that today. So, and then found out we were talking about it tonight. And I can answer the point about the homeowners.
Okay.
They are the applicants, they are
Right.
the applicants. And we have an obligation for their safety as well as code compliance. So if they need a CO, and if we're gonna issue a CO, then the inspections have to have a process. So that's why we notify the homeowners. I haven't talked to them yet. I don't have a phone number.
So where is this project now?
If Kyle wants structural on the foundation, we have to have another engineer do the foundation because we didn't see any rebar on the wall. This is the inspection form. If you notice, that's the form that we had when Kyle and I started.
Has that form changed since you started, that this has been added? Because it was said that it's never been done, so we want to clarify that, so,
That's number two, that foundation prior to walls being poured has been there.
okay.
I guess my question would be, and I go back to both of those gentlemen, why don't we accept pictures?
Right.
99% of the people in town do.
We do. We haven't denied pictures yet on this project. We really haven't moved forward until we got that legal opinion
What
and
about-
structural.
The picture Mr. Hardy presented earlier, I mean, of them,
These were also emailed.
yeah, he said they were emailed.
Yeah, when you email pictures, I'll show you how they come out.
But it was.
So, and I
never said,
have-
Could you bring pictures down?
Excuse
and-
me.
Okay, she's up, okay, well, you can turn in a minute.
Yep. When they send pictures, this is how they come out. So you really can't tell by that. So when I print them out, you really can't tell. So I have to forward them to Kyle or the chief. I think the chief received pictures as well. Of the footings, no? Did you receive it?
I mean, I've only seen the picture that you.
Oh, that one, yeah, yeah. And then there really has to be proof of that project. So sometimes I've gone out to actually take the pictures with the property, or there has to be proof that these footings are at this location. And that's why we accept the pictures.
I'll just add a couple things that,
Okay, chief.
and not to, I'm not here to get into a he said, she said thing. In my opinion, I've not been doing building inspections for very long. We've been helping out, the office has kind of worked collaboratively for, as we look at this transition piece, this is not a foundation, this is not a regular foundation, right? This is a 17-foot tall foundation, from what I understand. It's designed because of the slope, in my opinion. I'm not an engineer. And so when you look at the design of this, which came through on, that Kelly has a copy of, it's not the typical foundation. There's different things to it. Kyle was out earlier the day for the footing foundation. The forms were up. There's no metal in the hole. We went back. I called Avril Hardy to see if it had been finished. Left a message. She called me back. We had actually driven out to the site because we weren't going to drive all the way out there if it wasn't ready. We happened to be on site when she called back. Said that there had been a mix-up with the footing guy. He wasn't going to be able to get there till later, which is fine. That stuff happens. And would there be anyone available for inspection at 3 in the afternoon? And I said, no, I'm not going to be there for inspection. I think she called, left a message, or spoke to you directly. Footings had been poured later that day. And then as far as I've been doing or helping out with those inspections, we've been doing wall inspections. We've been showing up and looking at steel, not only in the footings, but in the next day in the walls. Typically, they strip them, pour the next day.
Right. You pour them one day, strip them the next.
Again, this is, essentially, am I wrong in basically saying they're building a retaining wall to set this house back on top?
That's exactly what it is. The footings are designed, the footings are 7 feet wide, so in the pictures, these are not normal.
Right, I can tell by the pictures.
These have 14 rows of rebar in the pictures, and so you couldn't mistake it for any other wall in the pictures of the walls. I mean, they're tall walls and they have rebar every 12 inches, they have a mat, and so they're very explicit, and that's why we sent a print earlier, because they are different than,
Right.
you know.
And which causes us to be less, I'll just speak for myself, causes me less likely to say, oh, sure, go ahead, just pour, versus, we want to go out and look. I mean, if you go out, it catches your eye because the house is in the air 20 feet, 20 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
It's an
Is
interesting
this an engineer, is this design an engineered design?
So what I had done was I had spoken to an engineer. I believe it was about a week in advance. I don't have the exact dates.
Jack, you gotta get into the microphone.
It is a different.
Are you gonna have to, you're gonna have to come up and speak and take your mask off so we can understand you, so.
So hopefully we can just get past this whole thing, because we're not looking to cheat. It was, and I don't have the exact dates, it was 5 days or 6 days before we started. I had gotten it from an engineer. We sent a note in that simply, I showed the design, I sent it in to the planning, to the building department with the exact rebar, which is extremely extensive, number 7, almost 1 inch thick, like 7/8 rebar, and the vertical and all the horizontal rebar, and said, any questions, call me, and I had my number on that page, thinking that if they had an issue with it, they would then call me. We didn't ever hear anything back as far as that went. And I don't know when it went from one person to the next or anything else. We weren't looking to cheat. I think it's kind of gotten blown out here that one thing has gone on top of the other thing. And then they ended up starting the footings. When everyone out there, I delivered, the steel was out there several days in advance, sitting in the hole. And I guess the footing guy got held up, and that's why he wasn't there that morning. But the rebar wasn't in the forms, but it was all there in the hole. And if the building department would like, I would be happy to submit a receipt from Cohen Steel. They did all the rebar. They bent all the 90s. All of that was done. We do have colored pictures. If that would make it easier, we can submit that to it. What I would just like to see is everyone shake hands in this whole thing and say, okay, it got messed up. This is how it used to be done. Let's get this straightened out. We'll take the pictures. I really would prefer the customers, and I've already spoken with them. They know we're having a meeting this evening and everything. that we get by that. They're fine with everything. They've seen pictures of it, the way it was being built. The engineer said he would, in his statement, he would say that he would accept the pictures, and knowing the rebar, that he would accept it and stamp it that way, which would basically take liability away from the planning department. That he did not do a visual, he did see the pictures and the plan. And I said, if there was an issue, I would also be willing to submit the invoices on the steel. So hopefully, we can all just get by this, and if that's what the new position is, and people that I talked to, and I talked to even some last week, and they said, no, we don't, and I don't know if it's new, and they just haven't done one recently, but that's what everybody said. So that's kind of how we went. So we thought we were CYA covering ourselves with the pictures, and hopefully everyone would say, oh yeah, that looks good. But if you look at those footings and you go out there, they are enormous. We also put a huge buttress in the middle of the foundation, which they recommended to be 12 inches thick. It was easier for the concrete guy, he made it 24 inches thick. So this wall is built like a fortress. So if there's some way that I can meet and we can just agree that, you know, there was disagreement and get past all this, I hate involving everybody's time. I didn't even know about this meeting till 6:45 tonight, and that's why I flew out here. I would have come up and just met with him and hopefully settled it that way. But if we can do that somehow and get by it, I can get the engineer to write something that he looked at the pictures, and he's good with that, and if we can move on, that would be just wonderful as far as I'm concerned. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly,
Yeah, that would take the liability off the town and the inspector.
would that satisfy?
Yeah.
would
So
that-
I
that,
shouldn't speak for
Kelly.
the inspector, but I,
Yeah, no, that's fine.
all right, so the resolution here, I mean, we've heard both sides. It sounds like there's a huge miscommunication and a huge break in the communication chain here, if you ask me. So a letter from the engineer stating that he certifies it via the pictures received and Mr. Getty's and Mr. Hardy's word would satisfy the building department at this time.
correct, not just the design, because we already did the plan
Correct.
review. We know the design.
And it would get, and they would be able, upon finishing, get their CO if they meet all the rest of the requirements.
Mr. Hardy, Mr. Getty's, is that attainable?
It's still noted on the CO.
Well, but I mean, at that point, it would suffice that they'd get, okay.
Well, it's really up to Kyle if he's comfortable going back out without seeing footings and foundation.
No, that, we've
Okay.
done that multiple times.
Okay.
Over the
Okay.
past 2 years, something like this.
So
And
that's
if
attainable,
that's good for
gentlemen? Okay.
Hardy Builders and Mr. Getty's, then,
Yep.
John?
I still have something I would like, I just want clarification for a few things.
Sure.
if that's
Okay, step up, please. Just state your name for the record.
My name is Avril Hardy. I'm John Hardy's wife.
Right.
So I guess my question is to Kelly and Kyle in regards to inspections for foundations. So I am the one who does all the requesting for all inspections. I've been doing it for years, back to when my father-in-law was building. I have never once had an inspection request that I had to do to have the foundation inspected prior to pour. That was prior to Kyle and Kelly. That was back when Chip and Wendy were in charge. It was always after the wall was poured. They did the drains and they also did the ceiling.
Well, we have
And-
a
and so-
new,
and that's-
as they say in the movies, there's a
and I
new
understand
sheriff
that,
in
but I-
town, so.
But
I
it's
mean,
been since they were here as well. They have always come out and inspected the walls after they were poured, never before. It was always, the footings was before it was poured, the walls after.
Well,
So I guess I want clarification as to how we proceed from here, so I know
I guess what
when
they,
inspections need to be
I
requested.
guess what they said, what she said on the record, is that they have to be inspected prior to pour.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
All right.
that's what we'll go with. And if you guys are all set, John?
My
Okay.
issue is, so we're gonna have 3 inspections. I wanna know how anybody's gonna actually, how the concrete guy's gonna actually
Well,
earn a living. So I do quite a few in New Boston also.
yeah.
We've got 3 going on.
Oh, dear.
You have to come up to the podium, John, I understand what you're saying, but, this is something to meet the inspections, if you get,
There's no there's, when you get your drains in, your coating, that's your inspection.
I mean,
And they work 3 days a week.
now they're doing it, this is what this is what they want here, and this is what they've got written up, I guess that's what we'll live with for the time being. So,
So are we gonna be able to get inspections more?
Frequently.
that's one of our discussions after you leave, is we're going to work on that, so.
That's my issue. If the concrete guy comes up,
Yeah.
they're gonna set a wall up. They're gonna wanna pour by 2:30.
Right.
So I'm gonna need you out there by 2:30 that day,
I understand the dilemma, so.
you know?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
but that's one of the issues we're gonna be working on in the next few minutes, so.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time, and
Can we backfill the project?
you have to ask them.
No. I don't know.
No, it
No.
was inspected today.
So where are we on that?
You'll have to ask them for the inspection, whatever you need done, because,
You requested it last Wednesday.
for what,
And
Beck?
that's the one I needed to get some other information on legal opinion and call for outside agency, and I haven't heard back from our mutual aid inspector that comes, because the chief may not be available and Kyle wasn't available.
To do the backfill inspection?
Not at 10:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
I work
See, and
a
that's,
full-time job on top of it.
that's the hard part that we're running into.
Okay, well, somebody will get back to you, we'll let you know within the next 24 hours.
When I check my emails tomorrow morning, I'll know if I have,
Right,
or
so,
I can go out and take pictures.
okay, well, if that's what will suffice, I guess we can do that.
Been doing it.
Okay.
Well, if we're all good, I.
Okay,
So can he do that inspection tomorrow?
He just said he'd run
It
up.
has to go through my department.
time out.
They're working it out.
If you're gonna work it out, kinda step outside so we can get the rest of this meeting
The
going.
ones that need to step outside need to have the next
Well,
conversation.
they're still having that
Still gonna have the
conversation.
conversation if they're gonna have it.
Right.
Yep. Okay, you all set, chief? Yep, you guys?
Bob, I was gonna let you lead the next discussion.
Yep, you're next.
Timely discussion.
Yeah.
So as you know, we've been working on whether or not it's feasible, whether or not it's, whether building inspections were gonna be taken into, underneath the fire department. As you can see, that it's not as simple as just waving a wand and
It's not?
It never is. So currently, we're extremely busy, right? I think that whole office is busy and the demand is high. One of the things that I think the biggest hurdle for the transition from one department to the next, or if that's even something that we want to continue down the road in, is that finding qualified people or person to
Wanna get
do
involved.
that function. And, so we have, I think, a very qualified person in that function currently. And that's really, I think, the goodness that he's still here, because he's got other stuff that he'd like to do. One of the things that Sherry Burdick had brought up when we talked about this, I think the last time, or maybe it was the first time, was, well, why don't we just make the position full-time and hire the current employee, make that employee? That, in my opinion, is a turnkey solution to that particular, to the issue of the building inspector. It raises some other questions, which we'll talk about a little bit. But essentially, the issue is there support at the select board level to look at reclassifying that part-time position into a full-time position? Whether it's with us or I think in the full-time piece, maybe leaving it where it is for several different reasons. I think under the pro side, like I said, is we have an employee that's in that position that if he were interested, and I think that there's an interest there, that really is, a turnkey operation. And not only could continue on the work that he's doing, with that workload, but right now, mechanical inspections are a big portion of what I do. It's a major distraction for sure, but that's something that could be shouldered, in that position, as well as some other stuff which you could talk about at some point. The biggest con really is to that plan is cost, and what is the town, what is the town willing to put into that position to have a qualified person in there, from day one. I have some numbers. I don't know if you have any questions yet. Okay. So the cost difference currently, Beth and I looked at some numbers. So currently, we're spending about $33,000 or budgeted for that position. If that was a Group 1 full-time slot, it's about $15,000 more. And if it was a Group 2 slot, like we were going to bring it into the fire department and make it more multi-role thing, I don't know if we could get to the Group 2 piece, but the Group 2 piece is another $5,000 on top of that, so it's $20,000. That's in 21. That's in budget year 21 dollars, and then in 22 the cost. So just to back up, so in 21, because it wouldn't take effect if it was voted on until say April 1st, you have 13 weeks at the rate that person's making now, and then there'd be 39 weeks of the fully benefited position. So the cost in 21 is somewhere between 15 and 20,000 less than it would be in 22, because 22 you have the whole year of those expenses. That makes sense? So really my question tonight is that something that there's any interest at all in pursuing that? And if there's no interest in that, then the jeopardy is we risk the person that's in the position now may not help us out anymore. So that kind of speeds things up, and it wasn't. And so if it's a no, it's like how do we start looking at that transition? That's.
I think the other risk is then if we don't do something to be proactive, we're gonna lose revenue as far as these buildings go, because we just, a prime example is just a glitch now, and it's not anybody's fault, it's just the way situation is. It's not being able to get to do inspections, because somebody's not always available or nobody's there, it's only part-time, so it's, when they're available to do that.
Yeah,
And
the
it's getting
revenue
busy.
piece on building permits and mechanical permits combined is about 74,000 a year. So it's certainly, well, even at a Group 2 slot, it's revenue, it's neutral.
It's gonna be balanced out.
Right.
The
Doesn't mean
only-
that there isn't gonna be more money coming out of the taxpayers' pockets, it's just that there is a revenue stream that kind of matches
Yeah,
the cost of that.
The only question is if, say, for instance, Kyle, because he's here, takes that position and it's a Group 2, then he's gone to the fire academy for a period of time, so it takes him out of the loop again.
Well, I think honestly, with the current employee, I think the Group 2, if it is a position that can't be waived
Yeah.
through the retirement system,
Yeah.
and no offense, I don't think that's I think, CPAT's a pretty formidable
Yeah.
obstacle.
But, I think it would probably, to save any of the problem, would be just to leave it as a Group 1 retired.
Well, I think
And that
it-
way, it's a no-brainer. It's a
I
step
think
in
it's
and go.
easier and whether he works, you know, under the fire umbrella, or he stays in the,
Yep.
or she stays in the
Well,
building department, the cost is the same.
Yeah, crossover back and forth, so, yeah.
And to
That's-
that end, I think, you know, whether it stayed here was fine with me. That's,
Yeah, and you're right, I think we have to do something sooner rather than later, and, which we tried to avoid, but,
well, you know, Kelly's been with me on an occasion or two, from the time I come into 1 in the afternoon, I'm on the road, doing stuff that I traditionally did, and also helping out building, you know, where we can. You know, Kyle has stuff now that he's doing, and, you know, there's definitely a demand for those number of hours per week.
oh,
You know, it all comes down to money.
yeah, it comes down to money, and it comes down to the deliberative session and, you know, the town vote, so, but,
So we're really here to, you know, generate a discussion on that, and obviously don't expect to walk out with an answer.
Well, I think the path we started on when
Yeah.
we started this whole thing a process ago, we had a different insight. We went over and we met with a different community, and
Yeah.
it all sounded cool, and there was things that in the back of your mind made sense.
Right.
But it made sense for that community. Did it make sense for us?
plus,
Well, over time, we found that I think it makes sense to keep him here. And I'm going to add a twist to a little bit is there's going to be a cry out about, you know, what do we do in the winter? Well, how many years have we had I don't like the word custodian, but let's call it a maintenance person. We've always been reactive to our buildings. If you had somebody on hand, on staff, that you could be a little more proactive versus me running around to all your buildings. You could have somebody else be in that case. So I really think it's a fit for us. We've been talked about a long time versus adding maintenance to it. Not cleaning or swabbing the deck, but making, you know,
Repairs.
making sure. There's things on our list that probably could be done by someone with that knack. And the person that sits there now has that ability to fill in that gap as well. I think it makes sense, and I'm just gonna go back a little bit, because when I was appointed up in '09, I've said this before, I was full-time in land use, Chip was full-time as building inspector, Judy Rogers was full-time in assessing, and Wendy was 30 hours a week in building. So I get appointed, we don't fill my spot, you actually reduce the taxes. You reduce the number of people in the staff, and you gave Chip both jobs. Then Judy decides in January of 11 she retires. You take away another position, and you give that to Wendy. So Wendy's got 70 hours of work, and Chip virtually got 80, if you think about it. So now we live through that. Times have changed. So when Chip gave his notice is when we kind of revisited things. And we revisited with the fact that at that time, we had a lot of land use, zoning, planning, things going on. So we at this table decided that that was the way to do. We let Wendy do back to assessing. We would hire someone to do land use, and we'd have a part-time inspector. And we juggled to, at that time, was the best we thought fit for the town. Now, as you all know, things have gone, the developments are building out. So I think we've reached that breaking point of having the part-time inspector. We heard it tonight. I think it's time the community went back to the full-timer. You're still going to be 30 hours a week short from what you were in '09 by bringing the third person on as full-time, and it's still the basis would be covered.
well, I think, you know, and plus, when we first revisited this after Chip retired, which
That was a year ago.
was
though.
May of
Yeah.
2019.
Right.
And since the first of the year, with the
Back home?
pandemic, it seems like the building trade has gone on a real big, been an uptake, a real uptick on that, and, to the point where you can't go to the lumberyard and buy lumber because there's so many projects going on, so,
Code enforcement and health cases have risen because people are home.
right, so I mean, there's more projects being done, there's
Right.
more permits being pulled out, and, whether it be retrofits or whether it be new buildings. So, I mean, I think things changed a lot quicker than we ever anticipated, so. But, again, it's up to it's gonna be, and it boils down to the fact whether or not Kyle's interested in that position, if he wants to do that,
Well, I think
so.
that's a conversation
But
that
for
we need to
later.
have with him, not on TV.
TV, but,
Right.
but the thing is, I think that this is a position, we're at a crossroads, and I think we have to start looking at making some type of transition. And if the money is there to warrant it, I think we ought to present it to the voters and have them decide. What do you think, John?
I agree. I mean, keep cutting positions, cutting positions, cutting positions.
And the work doesn't get any less.
Yeah, you're overloading people.
Rick?
The town's still growing. I agree with Naomi. We've been kind of tossing around as maintenance person for as long as I've been on the board.
Yeah.
Back and forth, and it'd be good to fill that spot. The other thing is probably could fill in for other uses around, the buildings, the town buildings. Could fill in other places. I think it's warranted to have a full-time position. I think that as time's gone on, we've kind of floated where we need to float people. We've condensed where we can condense, as the times allowed, but as the times grow and change,
We're not keeping up.
I think we need to change as well.
Well, the other thing is like not like, so not custodian, but more like maintenance. And to be proactive instead of reactive, instead of, something's rotted and we'll let it sit for 6 months, let's get on it now, if it's something small that can be done. So, is John still there?
Yeah, John's still there.
John, you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, what's your thoughts?
I pretty much agree with everything everybody else has said. It's, we definitely need a full-timer. There's not enough full-time inspection work. There's plenty of work to be done, especially being proactive with the repairs and maintenance that need to be done. So I'm in full agreement with everything that's already been said.
Sherry?
I've said it right along. You needed full-time, so happy to hear it.
But I think we did our due diligence. We explored the fire department as an option.
Yeah.
We explored other towns, and we circled back to what we need to do for the town.
Yep.
Do you need anything more?
Need anything else, chief?
No, because I think that what that does is it kind of sets that roadmap of how do we get from where we are today
Yep.
to March 1st or
Right.
whatever it is.
Yep. Till March, yeah.
Or it gives us some guidance, and then we can work on discussions with the current employee, I guess.
Yep.
And see where we're at, and then go from there.
It's kind of,
Does either of you want to add?
any,
Or-
Kelly or Kyle, you got anything you want to say?
Just if I was, no, I'll get up.
Yep, get up.
I mean, if you came up with something and I was to do it, my thoughts are, in my experience, I've plowed state roads in New Jersey, so if no, I'm just saying that if in order to justify a full position, I'm not afraid to. I know the library was talking about, we need someone to snow blow the.
We won't hold
I'm not afraid to go out and do that. Is what I'm saying.
We won't hold the Jersey part
highway
against
guys
you,
down
though.
for a day. They need a flag person on the other end of town. I'm just saying that I'm not
Well, that's good to know.
afraid to
Yeah.
go out and do
You're
whatever.
not afraid to go
for
out
a
and do the
day's
job.
work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Did
Kelly?
you want to add anything? Or?
No, I think I'm all set. I think we were just looking for a pathway to
Yep.
see that it was gonna
Okay.
be feasible. So we knew that there was a light at the end of the tunnel from any situations that arise.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Next on the agenda is the moderator. Started to go quick in a drag, so sorry.
That's okay. Good evening. My name is Eileen Meany. I'm town moderator. And I'm here tonight for a couple of things. One is to ask, I've been working with the town administrator a bit. The finance committee needs to meet, and so I had reached out about a month ago, maybe a little bit more now, probably more like 6 weeks ago, looking for alternate means of meeting during these COVID times. And so I was just looking to see if I could provide the finance committee with an update as to where we are with the potential for Zoom or Microsoft Teams or what have you. So
We signed with Zoom, correct?
Yeah, so what happened is we ordered a laptop, a camera, a tripod, and tomorrow the IT guy is going to be here with the stuff. We're going to order Zoom tomorrow and we're going to load it up. At that point, we can try it. It is YouTube friendly. That was a concern about proprietary. How we get it to YouTube is not a real worry because it's my understanding it can be taped to thumb drive or something. You can record it.
Yeah.
At that point, you can then upload it to YouTube because the cable committee likes to put the banner in the town of Ware on it because it goes on YouTube. So going directly to YouTube I don't think is what we're going to do. But again, I haven't had that discussion with the chair or anybody that works with cable, but it makes sense that A, it can be recorded, and B, tomorrow he's going to hook it all up. So with that being said, it's going to give you the option of allowing here, because we have a laptop and a TV or a camera, and allow those that don't feel they can come to a meeting is to be able to participate via Zoom.
Okay.
So tomorrow I'll know more. We're going to set it up tomorrow. We're going to order Zoom tomorrow. We're going to do everything tomorrow. So I think you could probably, I don't know when you're going to meet, how you're going to meet the first time around. It's maybe, I don't know what your meeting nights are going to be because, for the most part with Zoom, we can set it up with 2 or 3 users, meaning you could be a user, I could be a user, probably Kelly could be a user, and we would have control over the meeting of Zoom so that, you can mute people, you can invite people in, and things like that.
So I guess it makes sense then to come up with a tentative schedule
Yes.
so that we can get
Yeah,
going.
tomorrow we're supposed to be here to set that all up. I don't know if on the back of the door, last year they typically picked a night that,
It was Wednesday nights.
yeah, the only Wednesday that's not available would be the second Wednesday, because Conservation usually uses it then. I know it's used earlier by, the trustees of the trust fund meet on a Wednesday, but they meet at 4:15, so that shouldn't be a problem. So it's typically the second Wednesday is 7 o'clock is Conservation's meeting. And they'll be going back to meeting once we get the Zoom set up for them.
Okay. All right, so that was, and thank you for doing all
No
that.
problem, no problem.
I think it's, a great way to be able to do it with the constraints that we have currently.
Yep.
Not knowing when that will let up, so. The second thing I wanted to just briefly touch on, so as you know, we're heading to national election November 3rd. And I had the honor and distinction of co-moderating with Jerry Little in 2016. And at that point, I don't remember the exact number, but voter turnout was pretty significant. It was, I think, somewhere in the area of 5,000 of our registered voters voted in that election. And so I anticipate that the voter turnout for this election will be at that level and probably exceed that level, which is wonderful, that people want to actively participate in democracy. What we encountered in the election in September was that, based on, again, COVID constraints, we had a large number of absentee ballots, which the Secretary of State has availed a different process for absentee ballots because of COVID. And so I'm going to be working with the town clerk to identify a date because we had roughly 400 and I want to say 70 absentee ballots at the September election. I imagine that our numbers are going to exceed that. And so there is a process that has been identified by the Secretary of State to do certain elements of the absentee ballot process before the actual vote. And so I wanted to let you know that we'll be working to identify a date and notifying the public of when that will be, which leads me to my next two things. So this year, this book kind of outlines everything that you ever wanted to know and then some about holding elections. And so there's one particular section in the book I wanted to call your attention to, which is RSA 658, semicolon 21A. For state primaries and general elections, the New Hampshire Constitution requires the attendance of the selectmen. New Hampshire Constitution, Part 2, Article 32. If a selectman is absent or unable to perform his or her duties for any or all part of the day at any state election, the selectman is authorized to appoint a selectman pro tem to perform his or her duties. So the reason I'm here is because, like I said, I anticipate that this election is going to be well attended, which is a wonderful thing. And I need you to be there. And if you can't be there, I need you to find somebody to be there in your stead. You have the ability through RSA to sign somebody in to work for you. And, you know, I'm not asking for people to identify why they can or can't be there. I'm not asking for any of that because, frankly, it's none of my business. But I do need help. And so at the election in September, I actually swore in Naomi and Beth to assist at that election because it was important that we have people there that could perform those functions. And so I am humbly asking for your assistance. So I will also need assistance when we do the event to go through the absentee ballots because we need participation from members of the select board as well for that. So as I set those dates with Maureen, our town clerk, I will come back in and communicate that, but I just wanted to put that out there that I really need your help. So that's it. Yes, ma'am.
I had mentioned that if they were gonna count or go through the absentee ballots a day or two before, that I'd be happy to come and do it.
Thank you, Sherry.
So,
I'll keep that in mind.
But because I'm at high risk,
I
my
understand.
doctor.
And again, I understand it. You know, in no way do I want anyone to put themselves in any situation where they feel like they would be unsafe. So I want to be clear on that. And the RSA allows for other people to be identified and to take that role for you. So please avail yourself of that if you're in a situation where you need that. So anything else?
Just to let you know, there's no school that day.
Yay.
And I talked to, it's a teacher workshop day, so I did actually speak with the superintendent, and I just asked her, I said, I understand there's no school and that you're going to be having a workshop. And I just asked that if it was going to be in person, that they could hold it at one of the other two schools just because of the amount of traffic and things that might be going on there to keep away from the extra traffic. So they're going to try to do it almost all remotely, but she said for certain they would be all staying away from that building.
Thank you. Thanks, Tammy, for handling that, because that would be helpful.
And then we can rework, you and I can meet on I got another thought for the segregation of masked and unmasked.
Mhm.
So we could walk through that.
Definitely. So, thank you. Thanks very much.
Thanks. Thanks for being patient and waiting.
Yep. Next item is the reappointment of Conservation Commission.
Okay, so it dawned on us back, I don't know, a couple months ago that the chairman that was currently sitting at the chairman his term had expired in March, which is Andy Fulton. We had a batch come in and we did them, and you as a group agreed that if it was a reappointment, you didn't need to see the person in front of you. So, not sure how it all got caught up together, but anyway, the expired term expired. Mr. Fulton has now filled out a form to be reappointed to the Conservation Commission. It is electronically signed, and so is the ethics form, which are the two things that you require to reappoint someone. They're there.
Move to reappoint Andrew Fulton as a member of the Conservation Commission for a term of 3 years.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Crash dive. Sounds like the crash dive. At least she knows who's calling.
Do you have a vote? Everybody said aye?
Yeah. Yep.
Including John.
Yep. Okay.
With the manifest.
Okay, well done with that. Next item is the manifest. To order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated October 8th, 2020, as included in the following manifests. Payroll manifests of $59,979.63. That's the weekly payroll.
I haven't seen them.
Accounts payable manifest for $752,614.40. Ware District Accounts Payable Manifest for $500,000. The John Stark Accounts Payable Manifest for $250,000, for a total of $1,562,594.03. The following manifests were previously ordered to sign September 21st, 2020 Board of Selectmen meeting. Payroll manifest of $68,017.25. That's the weekly payroll checks dated 10/1/2020. Accounts payable manifest of $50,804.77. Checks dated for 10/1/2020. As there is no selectmen's meeting for Monday, October 12th, 2020, we order the treasurer to sign payroll checks dated October 15th, 2020, estimated to be about $70,000. Furthermore, to order the treasurer to sign up to the amount of $75,000 for accounts payable that cannot wait until the next scheduled meeting. Reports and actual checks amounts will be reported to the Board of Selectmen by inclusion on the manifest memo at the next scheduled meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John? Yep.
I abstain.
Okay. Okay. We have the minutes for 9/9 and 9/21.
I just got these, I haven't read them.
Which one of those?
9/21 and 9/9.
You just got them?
I
Anybody else read them?
haven't read them.
Yep. John, Ricky?
I haven't read them yet.
Okay, so we'll table them till the next
You're all
meeting.
gonna table?
Yep. Okay, administrators' reports.
Well, I'm gonna start by, I guess I will ask. So Chief Moore texted me back, before I forget, and he said, can you get the board to go on record that Vehicle 8 goes to the auction? I forgot to ask that part. Is that something you wanna do?
Sure.
No good to us.
No big thing. Make a motion that we send Vehicle 8 from the police department to the auction.
Now, I'm gonna
Once
just
it's stripped,
let me
though.
ask you this, though, I'm gonna preface it. If I can't get it in, because our deadline was last Wednesday and Thursday to send cars, the
We'll go to
black
the-
car got over there on Wednesday.
It'll go to the next auction.
I can try to see if they can take a late entry.
Yep.
If not, it's gonna sit in the parking lot or DPW until the spring auction.
Take it to DPW.
I'll do my best to make a phone call,
If
but
not, then
it needs to be stripped still and sent.
Yep. So it'll probably won't make it, so it'll probably, but if
Well,
it can,
the auction's the 22nd, but I don't know how this online thing's gonna work.
so if it can, then great. If it can't, then we'll send it to
So
the
you started and I
DPW.
cut you off, I apologize,
so-
but.
They're not using
Do we
it at
need
all.
to grab a vote to decommission that vehicle?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so, but he wanted us to put it on the record, so I guess that's the best way to do it.
So just, I would say amend it to decommission.
The
strip,
decommission and
send.
strips to send car 8, the blue unmarked Taurus, from the police department to the state auction. And if it cannot make it in this sale, then it will be sent to the
Spring auction.
and rest at the DPW yard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still there.
Okay.
Okay, so that gets that one out of the way.
That takes
2, I received, you guys all signed an old form for the forest fire reappointment.
Right.
And we crossed off, I think it was Ray Eaton and put Bob Richards.
Right.
So you can't just cross it off. So there's a form that Bob Richards has filled out, and there's a place for 3 signatures, so I don't need a motion, but it is the forest fire warden appointment.
I'm not signing it because I'm a warden.
It's just that he's replacing Ray
He
Eaton.
is.
The next thing I'm gonna send down or circle around is there's a warrant, Maureen had asked to have 2 copies signed. It's, by the state of New Hampshire. It says, "To the inhabitants of the town of Ware, the county of Hillsborough, New Hampshire, hereby notified to meet at the Ware Middle School Gym, 16 East Street, Ware, on the Tuesday, the 3rd day of November 2020. Polls will be open between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. to act upon the following subject, and that is to bring your votes for the presidential and vice president of the United States, governor, U.S. senators, U.S. reps, executive council, state senator, state reps, and county officers signed this 5th day of October 2020. And there's signatures for all of you, but there's 2 of them, and I need them back. And I'm also just gonna make the rounds. Ashley Pepilis's swearing-in form needed to be fixed from last week, so I have
You get
fixed.
demoted from
I have fixed
corporal to
that
patrolman?
Short tenure.
Yeah, it was a short tenure, yeah.
No, she was in filling out her paperwork, so I had already done it, so I asked her to sign it, so it'll really be all done. Sorry, I have to do minutes too. At least an outline. All right, now we can get to, just, John, I want them when you're done.
Sharing, you sign it.
So now I'll start my report.
Yep.
It's the one that's combined. So,
Yeah, Lundin.
so the first one, the first one hasn't changed. I'll go back to.
It's been signed by everyone. There's 4 signatures here.
Oh, yeah. The master plan update, we talked about the Article 27, which if you guys will recall, that was the age-friendly discussion. Spoke to the executive director for the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, and that is done. That actually was completed, and there's a nice 30-plus page survey of the results that were done. It was actually done prior to Mike's passing, so that's done, and next week you won't see it. ZBA, you already know where that is. E-subscriber, I didn't get a chance to run those numbers. Radio communication, I reached out to Derry to schedule an appointment of the First Net New Hampshire. I've had to do it through the form online to ask for requests. Thank you, sorry. So then it goes out to the fire department and it'll get back, but I don't have one, but I'm just gonna schedule as soon as I can for that demonstration.
Yep.
Furnace cleanings, we've scheduled those. All the buildings have been scheduled for service for the upcoming heating season. AJ LeBlanc for the Southwest Station is gonna be done Wednesday, November 4th. And Moral Heating and Cooling, who did the air conditioners, is gonna do all the rest of them. The safety complex, transfer station, East Ware, town office, town hall, stone building, that's gonna be Friday, the 30th of October.
Would it be advantageous to have said party also look at the library for a second opinion?
I included the library, they already had theirs done, so they didn't want it done a second time.
Yeah, we had ours done a few times too. Just saying, just thinking out loud.
Yep, it might not be a bad idea.
At least just an opinion.
Okay.
I mean, you know,
I mean,
the only thing that they had
Oh,
Bo
a library's second opinion is what you're asking?
Yeah, basically have Morrill go over and take a look at it again, because I mean, we had.
we did that here.
And
But no,
Bo,
but wait, hang on, you're talking two different things. If you're talking about the library, you're talking about AC units, we aren't talking about furnace.
Right. But
So-
aren't those heat
This
pumps
is-
over there?
No, the two of them.
No.
But since the,
He can look at the AC units if that's what you want.
that's why I'm asking,
Okay.
yes, while
All
he's
right.
in town,
No,
while he's looking
because
at all
Bo
the other
Plumbing and
units.
Heating's already serviced
Yeah,
their.
well, I'm saying
heater.
Bo.
No, that's fine, yeah, I'm talking
the
AC
only-
units.
And I
Okay.
think that's not a bad idea, because Bo Plumbing and Heating, they went over and looked at it, and then it started leaking again, so I mean.
Right, and,
It's
So I'm
probably
gonna have
shut
him
off.
look at the AC units
Just
and
to-
not service the burner, because that's already been done.
correct, yes, yes,
Okay,
yeah.
I can do that.
Naomi, do I have to be available for?
Nope.
You got the key, so you can,
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna give him a key and go.
Yeah.
So I talked about the heat quotes for last year, and when Jack came in to set the agenda, they needed someone to sign the contract other than me, because I don't have any bearing on anything. So when Jack was here, we got a price of, I put it on there. So we locked into 1.596 for heating oil and 1.279 for propane. Compared to last year, we paid $2.305 for heating oil and 1.107 for propane. So if you run the numbers, it's one washes the other, we're about the same.
Yep.
Just because the decrease in the heating oil was greater, but we use less heating oil that's only here.
And since
Yeah.
signing it, it's climbed.
Well, yeah, it has.
It started climbing. again.
Just bi-weekly, we're gonna start Monday, November 9th. I've got your whole month of November all planned for you. I'll share that with you next week. Just need to
2
verify a
weeks.
couple things. 2 weeks, I'm sorry. The forestry contract I'll also have for 2 weeks. I haven't finished that. Now, Parks and Rec, there was a note that we said we would table the discussion on the non-resident fees. I think the season ends next weekend, so I think it's prudent for us to even discuss the numbers until they can have a final and we can look at the entire year's numbers.
Right.
yeah.
So my plan was to, once they're done on the weekend of the 12th, is the last weekend, is to have the numbers run so we can have that discussed on 10/19.
Right.
I've given you my schedule. Let's go down to the building and maintenance projects, which some I talked about up above. I reached out to Walker Roofing for clarification on the price, whether it included lift or not, and to schedule them for spring of 2021. I got the answer machine, no call back. That was from this morning. Nothing's changed too. Town office ceilings and walls, again, we're not doing anything. Could be part of a proactive maintenance person.
Yep.
Town hall sign replacement, I'd like you guys to, I forwarded you the email for the town hall sign. You guys all remember that one?
Yeah, the granite posts were gonna be 6 to 8
They're gonna be
weeks out.
4 to 6
Oh,
weeks
4 to
out. I
6.
did not have a chance to verify the 4 to 6 weeks out. What do you wanna do?
I think you gotta wait till spring.
Well, no, I hate to wait any longer, but, just for,
Because I'd like you guys to decide and tell me what you wanna do, because,
I mean, we've got the sign sitting and it's been dragging, and now all of a sudden at the 11th hour, so to speak, we get an email from Rober saying, oh, yeah, because now the post size has changed. We gotta wait that additional time. I mean, I would say, can we call Swenson, and if they're there and they're paid for, go pick them up and have the highway department put them on the low bed and bring them?
okay, but once they leave their yard, they're our responsibility, so if we have a slip in the yard,
We break
and
them.
we break it, we buy in
Yeah,
a third
we buy
post.
They're not cheap.
And
Oh, no, I know they're not, but I mean,
listen, I could go either way.
Yeah.
I know there's a concern about the sign being down because of elections
where's the
and
sign sitting now?
the old sign,
The new one?
the new one's at Tom's
And I'm
garage.
sure he'd like to get it out of his
Because,
barn.
no, because Benji said he doesn't want it in his for the winter.
Yeah.
Right.
Either
So,
way,
the other
they
thing
get
I need to
damaged.
know is, what do you want to do with the old sign? Benji still has it down there. Is that something that goes?
Yeah,
Right
I
in the
would,
hopper.
yeah, I would say it goes
So
to
we can
the,
discard the old sign.
goes to the chipper.
So, the concern being, the sign's gone, okay? We all know that. The concern being, how are you gonna advertise for deliberative session, elections, rabies, and things until we
We've
can
got
go, springtime. So I asked Benji briefly if we could use his portable
Orange
little
sign.
sign, so I think
COVID
that's what
sign.
we'll have to do for town things. We're not gonna,
Town-
you've opted
town
to
things
keep,
only.
you've opted to keep the town hall closed for the rest of the year, so there won't be any advertising of something going on in there.
Just use it for.
So
town
we
events.
can just park it there for a while, and whatever we need to, it's on both sides. Is it a one side?
One side.
One side, so
So
we
you have
set
it facing the
But
road.
still,
Well, you
town
know,
only events.
the Historical Society has a signboard down there with all the plastic letters, if you wanna use
Well-
But
that.
they're this big, right?
Pretty good size. No, they're not real little, they're like this.
Is it a variable message board?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it runs. It's got
Is it
4 lines.
Lockable?
Yes.
Is it what?
Lockable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Checking.
No, we don't want any incidents
We
like.
take the wheels off of it.
We take the wheels off.
No, there was an incident, contractor in the state left one unlocked and they got in with the keyboard and
So-
put messages on it.
I can contact Swenson, but is that what you want to do? Just being real here. Accidents happen.
If it ends up,
Yeah,
well,
I
but
can
they're
go
not
either way.
available yet.
I can go either way on it, but I mean, I just hate having the thing, we've been waiting forever and now at the 11th hour he tells us the things.
The problem I would
It
have
bothers
is,
me, that
we get
bothers
the
me.
sign up there, say it's 6 weeks out, you're talking almost Thanksgiving,
Right,
and say the ground freezes.
right.
You're done.
What are you gonna
Yeah.
do about something around the base of that sign to be able to reach?
Yeah, to
put the
reach up
letters
to
on
put
it.
the letters up.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
That's
think
it.
you're gonna be able to.
So,
Yeah, so I'd say we just wait.
then we'll
I'd say we
wait.
just wait.
Okay,
And we
so
wait.
with that being said, he'd like to invoice us except for the granite. Is that all right? I would think that would be okay.
Yeah, we've already
Because he's already
accepted
painted the
sign.
Historical Society sign with the paint that he was
Yep.
going to.
And we've already got our sign.
And we've got our sign in
Yep,
delivery.
That's fine.
So the only thing he wanted to do was invoice us for the balance minus the cost of the granite.
Yep,
I
Well-
forgot, did he say why the posts weren't ready?
because they changed the size.
We changed the depth.
Chair, I'm gonna recognize Tom.
I know I'm out of order here, but I haven't been through this whole process.
Well, come to
trying to
the
keep
podium
you
and
out of it.
inform us then.
It's in your garage. I mean, you've got all the right.
Yeah. You're not out of order. It's in your garage.
Yeah. As long as you're
Well,
not charging
you know,
us
the
rent.
problem here was just coordinating schedules. The guys had the sign done for a long time.
Yes.
He knew that he had to get the old sign out before he could know the depth for the granite posts. So, you know, and there's no fault, it's just matching up with when the highway department could get the old sign out, and so he could get the proper measurements and order the posts. I think it would be a mistake to take the posts and bring them here, because I believe he's going to have Swenson Granite set the posts. So it makes,
They're drilling it, right?
I don't know if they'll drill it, but
they are
actually
drilling
set them, so for us to bring them here and risk some
Break the
kind of
back, break the-
damage when they're going to be the ones setting them wouldn't make sense. But the guys had the sign done for a long time. I mean, just to defend him on that. It's just a matter of the timing being off for everybody's schedules in order to bring it all together.
Well, and Benji got into paving while he took
The
it.
paving, yeah, it is. It's just everybody's schedules clashed. And so here we are.
Yeah, no, I think we're fair to pay him for services rendered.
Of course.
And the sign's beautiful. You know, I have a picture of it.
Oh, we were all gonna come over and look at it.
Come ahead. No, seriously, come knock on the door, because
We'll all pull in there tomorrow.
it's very nice. But
We're
you can,
not- we're
you
not
can
next
see
door,
from
you
what
don't
he,
want me there.
you can see from what he did on the Historical
Yeah, he
Society
did a nice
sign.
job.
It's the same color with
Yeah.
the same gold leaf lettering on it. Is that, except it's super big, like the other, same size as the other
It's
one.
the owner cutting it, not a cutting company, so.
But
he
seriously,
probably
knock on the door if you want to really see
He
it.
doesn't know until he cuts it.
Yeah, there's nothing on there.
Signed it.
But it's only half.
Thank you,
an acre.
Tom.
Yeah, but it's only a half
Thank you,
an
Tom.
acre land.
Half
All right,
acre.
so we'll get rid of the old,
Nothing on it.
what are we talking about?
What?
This is where we lose it in the minutes. Do you know what you look like on TV when we do this?
What?
So I think.
Just
I
warn
think
you.
that-
We're
I
gonna
think
get rid of the old sign.
Yeah,
Yep,
the old
get rid of
sign
the
go in
old
the
sign,
hopper.
and I think so we'll wait till spring.
wait till
That's the
spring.
general consensus,
Yeah.
we'll wait till
Just wanted to
spring.
keep you focused and didn't see the shiny thing.
The only thing we saw was an intent to cut. That's our shiny thing right now.
I was just gonna say, and that's what you were focused on.
No,
That's our shiny
So
thing.
the, can I finish, or do you want to?
No,
talk
go
about
ahead.
No, go ahead.
that? Okay.
We'll talk about that.
So the gazebo, I sent you, did you all see my
The only
attempt
thing-
at a sign?
The only thing I would want to see on there is a town wear seal on both of them.
Okay.
I mean, I like.
No,
I like the narrative.
I just was trying to, I was
like the
polite.
I like the verbiage. I just want to see that they're officially
Oh, so just
Put-
add the town seal.
put the town seal on the top of it. You know, town aware. We give a phone number if they want to talk to us or whatever. I mean, it doesn't have to be the letterhead, but at least the town seal and a phone number. Of
Yours?
contact.
Just
No,
Sure.
Yeah, gotcha. All right,
On both of
so,
them.
so it's okay as far as just, so it just says gazebo was made, just so everybody at home watches. This gazebo was made for all of us to enjoy through a generous donation from the Charles and Ethel Eastman family. Rules: 1, use at your own risk. 2, this is not a playground. 3, skateboards, bikes, scooters, etc. are not allowed in the gazebo. 4, benches and rails are not to be walked on. Police will be put on notice. Anyone violating the rules will face fines and penalties accordingly, per Board of Selectmen.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll add the seal and we'll add a phone number. So then I'm gonna, excuse me,
Naomi, on the second line, can you spell the word through completely?
oh, you don't like my slang?
Sorry, just pet peeve.
Through, I spelled THRU.
There it is.
It didn't quite fit, no, I'm just teasing. Okay, yeah, I can do, thank you. So, bell tower's not changed. Stone Memorial Building, I had it arranged, guy was supposed to come over today at noon time, never heard from him, realized at 5 o'clock he hadn't shown up, so I'll have to reschedule him to get us a price for a freeze alarm and the fire alarm for the stone building. The Bank Schmid property brings you to my sign number 2. Same thing, we're gonna add the seal. What I did do is, because he had hired an attorney and our attorney spoke to their attorney, said that they would chat, this got sent over to them. I would just tell Laura in the morning that we'd just like to add our seal, nothing more for language.
And
Correct?
and a phone number.
Phone number, gotcha.
That's Ricky's.
No,
Yep.
it's yours.
Okay, and then I also, in a little bit further conversation, I think I sent you the pictures and the narrative that came with the ladies' room downstairs. I think that's another
Yep.
proactive, what we just talked about earlier, that could be accomplished fairly easy.
Yeah.
So, we'll work with that, so, let's see. Is transfer station, I know, you guys all got it in your number, in your box, in your mailbox. The end of the transfer station hours, it was very successful. There was some chat about why couldn't we do it year-round, and some other things. I think what we could do, to maybe enhance it, because according to Benji through Matt, he's willing to do it again, but I think we could probably start it earlier on the other side. I don't know that you can go much later than we have because it's been dark.
Right.
We can look at,
Yeah, because it starts getting dark.
we can
about
look at
6:30.
lighting, but it has to be some real good lights for winter because you don't want the liability of somebody falling into something.
Yeah, but isn't gonna be a problem in wintertime if there's a
Well-
snowstorm and stuff?
Well, let me ask you this, and I had conversation up there with Matt about and some of the attendance was the possibility of the construction trailer lights, you know, the light towers that they tow behind vehicles, where it would be in the construction off season, they may have them sitting rather than, so we may be able to get a discount to utilize them for X amount of time. Then we're just talking the rental fee, whatever it may be, plus fuel. So it could be a less than permanent solution to a temporary building.
But still, you still get a lot of other, I think, liability issues besides that. 'cause-
I'm not saying you don't, but I know lighting was our big trip.
Because, yeah,
Yeah,
lighting
it
is
was.
expensive. I mean, it was upgrades that had to be done in lighting, so I mean, you're looking at a lot of money.
But the light towers they do use, you know as well as I do, on the highways.
Yeah.
They stack up
I
several of
mean,
them.
2 or 3 of them positioned right could probably make that place pretty well lit.
Well, you've got a light on a pole aimed towards the demolition trailer. You could probably put another light on that same pole aiming towards the
Hopper.
metal.
Oh, okay, yep. LED,
You've
which
got
would
a
be brighter.
light on a pole shining down by the paper trailer towards the swap shop.
Mhm.
Yep.
So you'd have to come down some way you gotta have a light by the recycling area.
And
The
we use
bins,
oil.
both sides of the hopper has lights.
But do they need to be upgraded?
Well,
Probably.
the ones inside are, by the big door are those sodium lights.
Yeah,
Sodium.
Once they come on, they're.
Bright.
They're bright. And
Yeah.
then outside the little small one, there's always been a light right up over the
Mm-hmm.
window there.
So I just want you to, so Benji's just tuned in. And he said we need to look at indoor recycling facility. 12 hours outside in the winter is
Oh,
too
yeah.
long.
oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So
I agree
I
with
think
that
it needs to be
100%.
discussed more than lights.
Yeah, need
Right.
to, definitely.
Right. So, I mean, and that's just it. I mean, I know that the major trip hazard was lighting.
Oh, sure.
But,
Even in
but
the-
I agree, it gets cold when the sun
Even in the
goes down.
summertime when it's pouring rain.
Yeah.
It's a long day.
But I think the bigger picture is that the transfer station as a whole is outdated.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's undersized. And, you know, and talking to Matt and the guys up there, I mean, the compactor life is only another 5 to 6 years.
We did
Before,
that in '07 and they say it's good for 20 years.
well, 5 to 6 years.
Yep.
Yep.
So, you know, I guess at that point, we'll probably have the safety complex cleared up by then. The last payment should be done by then, and the highway department be pretty close to being done. I think at that time, we explore another bond. Because we really need to redo that entire facility. I mean, it was built in the early 90s. It was built for 5,000 people, and now we're trying to push 10,000 plus through it.
You'll have a lot more than that in 5 more years.
Right.
You know, you
You get grant money too, you can go
More
after.
manpower.
Well, and I'm not saying that that's not an option we don't explore, absolutely, 110%, but, you know, because we absolutely have to manage the trash and recycling. But I think that we need to put it on our radar for more than just reacting currently at this moment in time, is we need to really think long-term of what are we doing with that entire department / facility, you know? Whether we keep the hopper and redesign around it with a building, whether we redesign the grounds, move the trailers to an indoor type facility, I don't know. But I think we need to really start thinking more so than just Band-Aiding one night worth of trash,
Right.
you know, recycling, to what are we doing in 5 years? When the compactor's life is about expired,
Oh, yeah.
what's the plan?
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think it showed, it was great, it was greatly used, and I think, you know, the possibility of when time changes in April is
Yeah,
to
I was
open
gonna
it a
say
little
maybe
bit
like
more.
in April, daylight savings time.
But I
or
think we
something.
really pushed the envelope for the evening, as
Yeah.
far as dark.
Well, I think it
It's dark at
shows,
7 now.
it shows that in
Dark at
2.5
6:30.
hours, you know, you push 109 vehicles through in 2.5 hours. It shows the need for that facility to be open.
Yep.
So I don't think this board and all involved parties can say, no, the night is off the table, because it really can't be anymore by the
No,
looks of it.
no.
Schedules have changed, people have changed.
Work schedules change.
But again, we need to make sure the town is covered before we make any actions up there, including the employees and including the grounds.
Yeah, and I think like Naomi said, when it changes there in April, maybe look at it early April to see, maybe we can open it up a month early or something.
Depending on temperature conditions and lighting.
Right,
You
How
know,
long winter's gonna be.
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Yeah, no, I think it was a
Well,
great, it was a great test.
definitely by
and
May
it was-
1st.
It was a
should be
great
able
test,
to-
and
It
it
was a
showed a
nice
lot of
track
positive
record that he
data.
kept,
Yep,
sure.
a lot of positive data, but it needs, I think, like I said, we really need to think in long-term rather than short-term.
Right.
Yep. And the only
I think
thing,
we also need to thank Matt McLean for volunteering to do that for the summer, as a task force.
I would agree.
Yep.
thank you, Matt,
Definitely.
for doing that.
Yeah.
So the last thing, I don't know if it's correspondence or not, I do have one thing for correspondence, but, I in talking with Southern Hampshire Planning for the master plan stuff, and found out that was done. We need representatives to volunteer for Southern New Hampshire. It's the second Wednesday or Thursday of every month. But it's not just that, then you have to be on some other committees. So what I said to her is, just due to things, we're living in a different atmosphere today. I said, we don't I haven't asked for a volunteer, but we haven't had a volunteer there for a long time. Tom's been gracious enough to roll double duty for a lot of things over there. But with the finance committee starting, it's just gonna be too much. So I told her that I would ask you if you guys would put me on just to keep us in touch with what's going on. I would be part of the emails and part of the other things, and just like the other emails that come through for Gopher and things like that, it would just be, I just think turning a blind eye is not the answer, and if we don't have a representative, we could be missed opportunities.
When is it? Second Wednesday?
So I've put together, if you want to appoint me, I don't guarantee that I'll stay 4 years, but it would at least shuffle the energy. Bill Herman is the town administrator in Auburn. He plays double duty just to keep them in the loop as well. So I'm not saying that that's the right way to do, but at this point, but you need a motion.
Appointments move.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
You're it.
Okay.
It's too late, I already signed it.
When is the,
If you get in
night
a
is it,
bind, though,
Naomi?
I will go down and
It's a
fill in
day.
for you if I
During a
can.
day meeting.
Got that in writing?
oh, because
Yeah.
it used to be like
No.
3 or so. I used to
No,
go
it's 11:30 to 1.
I already told
Changed
her
it
that
then.
before.
Yeah. So the only other thing is I just have one little bonus for your correspondence.
Good.
And then that's all I have. I think I've,
I got.
all right,
this-
you have one thing on
this
this
one-
right there.
This one thing was the, this
Yeah.
intent to cut, and it's a half acre, but this is the,
a half an acre.
It's an intent to cut with no
but it's, the
numbers on it.
homeowner that bought the lot up on Quaker Street was the Reed property.
Okay,
He wants to cut it, so he's doing the work himself,
okay.
so
Well,
I
you
I
don't have,
don't
you don't
have a
have to
problem
fill out
with it.
you don't have to fill that out if you're just gonna trim some leaves.
He did it. He's cutting that for half an acre, or who knows how much he's gonna cut, so.
He's
that's
from
it.
out of state, so he didn't know.
Oh, down the,
Down that, he
Yeah.
bought that lot, those two lots out back.
oh, okay.
Where is it?
Quaker Street, there was
Lean
Mark
Reed's old
Reed owned
place?
part of it. I
Oh,
think
Lean
his
Reed.
sister owned the other lot, those two lots out there.
Yeah, 'cause they own down Thorndike Road quite a ways.
Yeah, as you go down Thorndike, there was another sign
Well,
that pointed
that's
out.
where the frontage is on Thorndike, but it's like this.
The road
Yeah.
is, the
Goes
driveway
right up
is
the
on.
So
hill.
the subdivision was approved for 2 lots on Thorndike, both accessing the right-of-way. And there was a driveway permit issued in 93 or 94, but the access is there, but they're for the both lots that have frontage on Thorndike.
Yeah.
Does that come from West Quaker or?
How are you
Quaker
gonna
Street?
get in there with
Quaker.
that
Above our
brook?
house, right
Are they gonna do it in the field? Is that where they're putting these
I
houses?
didn't,
yes,
all I saw
yeah.
was
So
on
it's
the
Mark
map.
Reed, and I think
All I
his
saw was
sister
on the
owned
map.
part of it.
All right,
was
yeah,
it?
I've always, I've
Yeah,
seen sign on
he's
it.
beyond that house,
Who?
Yeah.
the driveway, Mark.
No, but he
Yeah.
owned that land out there.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that was Mark's
Did they get
parcel
signed?
out there, I think.
Did it get signed?
No, I handed it on the table.
All right, well,
Is it good enough after that?
That's
yeah.
the driveway.
Is everything
Goes
else
up
good
like-
enough?
This guy's 3,
Just
and
beyond
there's 3 on
Frankfurt.
everything.
Yeah, it's
Right next.
All right, hand it back, it's guy's
Cousin
3.
lived out there.
Yeah,
I'm not signing it.
that's right. There was his cousin, okay.
Yeah.
He, Mark owns part of it, Sherry. owns part of
Okay,
it.
well, we're still here.
Documentation on it.
Okay.
So, correspondence, I just wanted to share your little certificate that's going somewhere. To do with this, it's appreciation, a certificate of appreciation given to the Ware Town Hall on the 20th day of September for outstanding work in providing non-response follow-up enumerator location training in New Hampshire during the course of the 2020 National Census. We let them use the room here for their training on several occasions
okay.
too.
It's
for
not
their
the town
people.
hall, though.
Well, that's what they call it,
That's the town.
All the newbies call it.
Census.
town hall. So you got a pat on the back from the census. Nice little certificate.
Yeah.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
We got an email as we were sitting here.
From,
Huh?
from,
a resident, but we can discuss that at the next meeting.
Yes.
oh, yeah, we did get
You
an
just get
email
that
too
one too?
about,
No, like just now.
we got an
Yeah,
email too,
I
I
just
got
one.
on, about Jewett Road.
Yeah, about Jewett Road, we got that one too.
We got that one. I just remembered that, yeah. And to the person who sent that in, there's not much we can do about it. It's a class 6 road. So,
Well, I can't expect something that comes in tonight to be handled tonight.
No. I'm
no,
just
this
saying
was one that came in earlier.
Came in earlier this week.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jewett-
right, and there's
yeah.
been a response, a second response, I think.
Oh,
There has been, I didn't see the
We
second
didn't- We didn't get any
response.
response on our side.
Yeah, unless, but
No.
that's
No, it's
basically,
just been forwarded to me again.
Okay.
It was forwarded to me.
so. Okay.
John, you got anything?
Hello?
He's asleep.
Still there?
Take yourself off mute.
Are you sleeping?
Hold on. Maybe because I went off speaker. Hold on. No, you're on speaker. In-call volume's up. Oh,
It just sounded awful. What was the question?
I said, do you have anything to add to correspondence of the business?
Other than 2 emails we received earlier today, no.
Okay, which we were just talking about.
Which our thought is that something that gets sent today won't be handled tonight. We have to look into it.
Yep.
And it can be handled 2 weeks from now. Or brought up 2 weeks from now. Yep.
If there's nothing else?
I think he's half asleep.
A and C.
Okay, with that, we're gonna go make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2, A and C, and after that, we will be adjourning.
Yes,
So,
we will.
good night.
Second?
All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.